That's the way we're wired. Okay. This absurdity with men being called out for every little bit of normal masculine behavior. It's a big part of the reason why I started this channel. So today I want to tell a true story that many of you, maybe most of you, who are probably under the age of 30, you're going to have a hard time believing this. Now, I've been in and out of gyms my entire life since about the age of 15. I've been in the Air Force. I was a bodybuilder. I've moved around. I lived in 7 different states. I've joined more gyms than I care to remember. Um, and the one thing that we all notice now with gym culture, if you see the title of this video, you've all seen Joey Swole, who takes on these girls who pretend to be victims of being looked at and had their picture taken and whatnot. And I just watched one that he done maybe the other day about a woman who was accusing a man of taking a picture of her when there was no way it could have happened. And to me, I watch all this go down, and it's much like everything else that I've seen in the world. What in the hell is going on? It is such an obvious ploy for attention. But I'm going to tell you why I say that, and it's going to take you all the way back to, I guess this would have been the early to mid 1990s. And this is how it used to be. Like it or not, this is actually the way it was, and everybody was just fine with it. So I was a member at the Bally's Fitness in Aventura, Florida. That's where I grew up. I grew up in Miami. I don't know if it's still there or not. This was, 30 years ago. And nice place, 2-story gym, had all of the accoutrements. It was packed every day after work, whether you got there at 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock. It was absolutely packed, jam-packed with people. And one of the favorite things, not just for the men, but the women, encouraged and participated, highly participated and encouraged with what I'm about to tell you. So the way that the gym was laid out on, I don't know if it was the second floor or the first floor, it doesn't matter. But there was a long stretch of machines. There was a whole room full of machines. But at the end of that room, lengthwise laid out, facing this way, were machines that you could use facing forward. So whether it was the leg extension, presses, flies, all of the machines that were facing that way were machines that you would use sitting and facing. So you would be looking forward ahead of you. Well, what was directly in front of you? And when I mean directly in front of you, I mean directly in front of you was the aerobics room. It did not have a door. It didn't have a wall. It wasn't windows that were closed up. It was the row of machines, maybe a 4-foot wide barrier between the aerobics room and the machines, and then the room. And that sucker was packed every single class, especially 5, 6, 7 o'clock. And again, the women participated and the women encouraged. And what would take place was, as one of the classes was getting ready to start, you're 5-10 minutes away from the aerobics class is getting ready to start. The women who were just, the classes were mostly women. The women would start pouring into the aerobics room and taking their places wherever they were going to be. You could generally have, I'm estimating here, but there was room for probably enough, like 10 wide and about 4 or 5 deep. So maybe 40 or 50 people in the room, spread out lengthwise, 10 and maybe 4 or 5 rows with the teacher in front. And while the girls were taking their spot in the aerobics room, the guys would be taking their spots on the machines that all faced the aerobics room. And I'm not even going to make it sound pretty. The girls knew it, the guys knew it, the girls encouraged it. They loved the attention. And it made your legs big, because if you got on the leg extension, that was my machine. If you got on the leg extension, you might be on there for a half hour, because what is in front of you are 40 or 50 scantily clad, usually in pretty damn good shape women dancing their ass off in front of you. And many of them purposefully doing things so that you would, let's just say, enjoy the show. And in all of the years that I went to that gym, and all the times that there'd be rows of guys watching these rows of girls dance, I never heard one complaint. Not like a few and a couple here. No, the women would dance around. They would, when they would have to turn around and face us, they might wink at this guy. They would make eye contact while they were dancing. They're having a good time. They're getting attention from us. We're having a good time. Okay. If you don't know what they were wearing back then, it was good enough. It was just after the 1980s, like aerobics, like Olivia Newton-John stuff. But the point to it is that suddenly now, all of a sudden, it's completely the whole thing is turned on its head, to where if a guy even might take a quick, oh no, my eyes made contact with her ass for 0.5 seconds, and now I'm a predator and I'm going to be smashed online for it. The human race is devolving. If you believe in evolution, we're de-evolving. Okay, it's just absolute insanity. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're a woman and you don't want to be ogled, it doesn't mean that a guy at the gym has the right to sit there and stare at you and stare at you, stare at you. The point I'm making is that the culture was, let's see, we're girls, we mostly like guys. Those are guys watching us. And I can't tell you how many times that I saw people meet under those circumstances. Women are always wondering, well, where are the guys? I can't tell you how many times I saw people actually meet during those, under those circumstances. The women, and it wasn't just beneficial for the men, because let's be honest, at that point, many of those women were just trying to get in shape because they wanted male attention. Well, it was extra motivating, especially if they found the guy that would be in the machine. It was extra motivating, and the women would work out harder than they would if they were locked away in a room by themselves. Now, of course, there might be women today that disagree with my take on that, but I lived it, and you probably weren't even born yet for the most part. If you're young enough now to find that story offensive, you probably weren't even born at that point. So the point to the video is that relax, people. We're humans. Men are supposed to look at women. And for the most part, women are supposed to enjoy male attention. That's how we're wired. The fact that I even have to think about being concerned about possible blowback for saying that men are supposed to look at women. How in the hell did you think the human species? That's the way we're wired. Okay, this absurdity with men being called out for every little bit of normal masculine behavior. It's a big part of the reason why I started this channel. Okay, do not make the mistake of validating. Okay, men, do not make the mistake of validating a woman's unreasonable emotional opinions. Those opinions are hers. If your intent is pure, or your intent is to just, you look in a woman and you find her attractive and you appreciate it, as long as you're not being, an idiot about it, that's normal, that's natural, and don't make yourself feel bad about, oh my God, I looked for too long. It was almost 2 seconds. Now, is there something wrong with me? Am I a predator? Is there something? No, there's nothing wrong with you. The problem is that people's brains are being rewired by social media, and women especially, unfortunately, they have a tendency to be a little bit more easily manipulated. And for a while, they were able to get positive attention by calling out these men for basically doing nothing. Now, I'm not saying men never do it, but what was a normal, everyday occurrence at the gym that I went to that I never heard anybody complain about, if these people today saw what went on then, they would likely throw up to lunch, and they might just give up entirely on life because they're so soft they can't handle even men being normal and women appreciating that they have a normal man in return.